my name is Flavi.
And I'm Ben.
And we are identical twins from China who were separated at birth and raised in two different families.
Yes, she lives in Canada and I live in the US, so two different countries too.
So my mom adopted me from China when I was about 10 months old. And she brought me to Canada, more specifically Quebec, where I live now. And she raised me by herself with the help of my grandparents. And he was raised
in California by my mom and dad. They also adopted me when I was 10 months, and I've only known a small town in California. It's very suburban, so...
Yeah, that's where we differ because I was raised in the city, and so I don't really know what it's like to live in suburbia.
Yeah,
so
quiet, semi-wild suburbia, because I live next to like a man-made water area, which has lots of animals.
Yeah, I live pretty much downtown, so it's always noisy.
Basically the opposite.
Yeah, we're pretty much opposites. Where I live, it snows
every year in the winter.
Every year, and we have about 4 months of summer, so it's pretty cold year-round.
I live all the way across, not just the country, I live all the way across the continent, like exact opposite sides. So when I was a kid, my mom posted a picture of me on a Yahoo adoption forum for the kids in Hunan, which is the area that we were found in. And her mom's friend,
Jose, who went to China with my mom actually to adopt me, saw the picture on the forum and sent it to my mom and was like, wow, this kid really looks like your kid. Now keep in mind we were babies, so we had pretty similar faces. And my mom got in contact with his parents, started speaking back and forth. And then when we were 6 years old, we met. He came to Montreal for the first time in 2007. We had our birthdays together. We spent some time together, and then he flew back to California, and we haven't really had much contact between the age of 7 and 14. There's that 7-year gap where we didn't have internet, we were in school, we didn't really have...
I didn't have social media.
Well, he didn't have the ability to reach out to me. Until one of my friends at the time actually found him online, sent me the picture and was like, oh my god, is this your brother? And I reached out and we started talking, and then we got closer and closer, and we've been talking ever since. Originally, I wanted to do this in 2019 when we were 18, but we didn't have the money. If I'm gonna be honest, I did not have the money for this.
Me neither.
So we were like, let's wait another year. And then COVID hit, and that took 2 years out of our life, so we weren't able to travel really. We didn't want to go through the entire quarantine process, so we were just like, let's just wait. And now we're both 20, turning 21 in about
2 weeks?
16 days? Well, okay. That's another funny story. His birthday is the 16th of August. I'm the 18th of August.
We don't know very much about our adoption story, from the perspective of the orphanage, but my only guess was that we were kept in separate rooms, so it didn't cross their minds that we were twins, or maybe, I don't know. I don't really know, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of question mark.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
Personally, I would like to find out more about our story, where we came from and everything, but if you know anything about Chinese adoption, the records are sealed. There's no way of finding our birth parents because you'd have to pretty much DNA test all of China.
Yeah.
Which is impossible because people move, people migrate, people go to different countries.
People pass away.
Yeah, people...
Yeah.
We don't know if they're freaking alive or not.
Mm-hmm.
So according to the records, I was abandoned and left at a gate. It doesn't really specify where I was found or anything, but I know that it was in the city of Shaoyang, which is where I was adopted from. And
so I was found in front of a meat packing factory, according to the records, and I was taken to an orphanage in Shaoyang City, which is a city in Hunan, which is a province in China.
Yeah.
And in that orphanage, we were both there, apparently, according to the record. But we were probably in different rooms. I'm just guessing, because I don't know. We were probably in different rooms, so they didn't know that we were twins, or they,
just chose not to say anything.
Yeah.
So when my mom started communicating with his parents, they wanted to meet. I'm pretty sure your parents...
We wanted to meet
yeah.
pretty soon.
And my mom was a little bit unsure about it because there's like these rules that if they're found together, there could be like family reunification, and she was afraid that I'd be taken from her or vice versa, and she didn't want any of that. But we finally met
in 2008 after our moms had been speaking via the internet for a couple years.
Via email?
Via email.
Yeah.
And so when we met up, we decided to do the DNA testing, which was, I think, was in Vancouver, according to your mom. We had a little bit of trouble finding a lab willing to test the DNA of twins because most labs only test the DNA of parents, to find your parents.
Yeah.
But all our parents wanted was to see if we were twins, so if our alleles matched or not.
Yeah.
But we found one that was based in Seattle.
Seattle, yeah,
I think.
Seattle.
And they were sent from Vancouver to us, 2 separate test kits.
Yeah.
And we both took the test, and I think 3 days later they came back, and the email at the top of it, the subject, said identical twins.
Yeah.
So, and you only need apparently 3 alleles to match out of 6.
Yeah.
And we match.
Of course.
So.
So the story is going to be told pretty much from our own perspectives because we didn't grow up together, obviously. We're separated at birth. So me as a kid, I was very outgoing. I did a lot of sports. I literally went to sports camp when I was a kid. I did swimming competitively. I was very active. I was diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age because I had more energy than anybody. And my teachers were like, this kid needs help. This kid needs medication. So yeah, I was very outgoing, very energetic. But at the same time, I was very shy. And I had a lot of anxiety.
When I was a kid, I was homeschooled, but I was very energetic. I also have ADHD, but I wasn't diagnosed until later. But doctors told my parents when I was very, very young that I probably had it, but they didn't want to diagnose me too early, and I just never got diagnosed until I was 18, 19. But as a kid, I was very energetic, extremely hyper, had terrible time remembering things, had terrible times just existing because I could not pay attention to anything. Very short memory, kind of like a goldfish. And yeah, I was also very shy and extremely, extremely anxious. And I'm still anxious, but less shy. So.
Yeah. I think what differs between him and I is that I did swim team, so I had a way of socializing with people that wouldn't judge me at school. It was like an extracurricular, you know what?
It was an extracurricular activity.
Exactly, extracurricular, yeah, that. And I stopped swimming when I was about 15, started working, and that really helped me. I was able to meet people that were older than me, younger than me, socialize, and discover life outside of school. And that really helped me deal with my anxiety because I knew that you go to work, you do your job, that's pretty much all that there is. There's no reason to being anxious. And it was a great way to socialize with people, with customers, with coworkers, and I made some really good friends.
As a kid, I liked to draw and play music and look at animals and take photos. I was very, I was an introverted extrovert, so to speak.
Same.
I would just kind of chill on my own time. I would like to go out with friends and do actual physical activities a lot. I was really into running, but I'm not really a great swimmer, but I can swim to survive, whereas she can woo like a fish.
Yeah, I was the same. I was pretty much an introverted extrovert. I had my group of friends, but I also got bullied pretty heavily throughout a lot of the end of preschool, going into high school. I was shoved in a locker one time. I had anxiety so bad that I pulled out the entire front of my hair. I was bald. I had to wear a headband to graduation because there was literally no hair. And that was just from the fear of people's judgments. And not only was I bullied by my schoolmates, I was also bullied by my teachers. Those teachers aren't there anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah.
Okay. I was homeschooled from the age of 6, I think, up until 14 before I started high school. So I was mainly just at home all the time. I had some friends because I went to a Chinese school once a week, but they weren't long-term friends, so to speak, and also with no social media, it was hard to maintain contact and relations with people. But started high school, really loved it. 4 years, made a lot of friends. Started college. I liked it up until COVID, and then I was online for 2 years.
Yeah, same thing here. My class was the last to graduate
Same.
and have an actual prom.
Same.
which is insane to believe because like we actually had the entire thing. We had the party, everything. We graduated, we had summer. Started college literally one semester and boom. It was COVID, everything transferred to online. And then in Quebec, we have this thing called CEGEP. The entire 2 years were just online. It wasn't fun. I mean, I know a lot of people who enjoyed it. I personally didn't like it. I was always at home in my room. And I was saying like if I didn't have work, I feel like I would have gone crazy and been depressed. Because all I was doing was I was waking up, doing online classes. And like you can imagine people that wake up, do online classes, and then do their homework and they just stay at home.
I also started working because I couldn't stay home all the time. It was dangerous, yes, because COVID, obviously, but I started working at a Target, and I also work at like a nursing home, kind of.
Nursing home,
Yeah, because I want to do I'm going into nursing school in a couple weeks. I want to be a nurse.
Another thing we both went through, which kind of like made us bond a bit more, was the racism related to COVID.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really want to, like, this video is totally not about that. We're going way off course. But we both went through some personal racism during COVID because we're obviously Asian, but we weren't raised. Well, I mean, he was raised.
My mom is Chinese, and she was the one who primarily raised me because my dad was working, and my dad is white. So I'm kind of like, I have traits of both ethnic groups, I guess you would say. But I consider myself American with a Chinese background, and
whereas for me, my family is from like all over Europe, so I wasn't raised with any Asian descent whatsoever. My mom tried to put me through Chinese school when I was younger. I think it was maybe like 9 or 10, and I did not like it. I did not go. I would have like an extracurricular after school class every other week, and I would go grab the chocolate and just leave. But yeah, no, most of the food that I eat is European food or Canadian food, I guess you could say. Whereas he was raised on
home-cooked Chinese meals and some of my dad's food that he grew up with, typical Western American food like burgers and steak and hot dog and stuff. But primarily I knew Chinese food, or like generally Asian food. I grew up going to Chinese supermarkets, Asian markets, and also going to like your typical American things like 4th of July and those kind of things.
Whereas I went to like a Costco, Walmart, those types of things that you have both in Canada and in the US. I didn't really go to any Asian supermarkets, nothing like that. I wasn't really exposed to the Asian world because I went to a private school growing up, and the majority of the private school is white. So I didn't have that exposure. I didn't have the feeling of being Asian. It didn't really click until I was a little bit older that I was different. So as adults, we found that we are very different people. Obviously, the way we were brought up affects who we are today. Like I said before, I'm much more of a social person. I spend most of my life at work. I have a lot of energy. I don't know how to explain it. The ADHD that I have, I sort of let run loose a little bit in certain aspects. My hyperactivity is and has always been a pretty big character trait of me. Everybody's always known Flavie as the energetic kid. Also, I'm much more of a dog person, personally. Whereas he's like obsessed with animals.
Yeah, I'm a very big like animal nerd. Like as a kid, what I would do for fun from the age of like 6 up until 12 would be just to like watch TV. And when I started to use computers, I would just get on the computer and research animals, and I would like find books in the library. I would go to the library to get books about animals. I was like obsessed with animals. This is a cow that my friend's mom gave me. His name is Quarter Pounder. Ooh. But I'm kind of weird, and I'm aware of it. But it's just who I am.
Yeah.
I like animals a lot.
That's okay.
I'm awkward, and I'm aware of it, and it's just part of who I am. My ADHD, the hyperactivity is really bad. As a kid, I was like super hyper, super active. But I seem to have more of like the attention issue. Like filming this video is a little bit challenging. But
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But because I keep getting distracted by everything. But that's fine. That's just who I am.
Yeah. So. Whereas me, as a child at 12 years old, I was focusing on swimming, focusing on trying to make it big in swimming. And then I hit a wall, and that was not who I wanted to be. It wasn't what I wanted to do. At 12, I was having a pretty hard time in school. That's around the time I was getting bullied severely. I had a lot of teeth problems too as a kid, so a lot of people were making fun of my braces. And I just had a very hard time learning. Even as a kid, like, I couldn't do it for some reason. His attention span right now is bad. My attention span as a kid, like I couldn't sit in class. Like I would hear pencil noises, I would hear a bird outside. I'd had to sit on the wall of the, like I had to sit like on the side where the wall is in the class. I couldn't sit by the windows. Literally all of the teachers knew this. It was like a set rule that Fabi can't sit by the windows or at the back. She has to sit first row near the wall or else I can't focus, or like straight in the middle, because I would get distracted by literally everything. Now it's a lot better. I've been able to pretty much like hyper focus my ADHD into working, which is why like I work usually about 50 hours a week, a little bit more sometimes, because if I'm at home I can't do it. I get bored. I'm like restless. I need to go out. I need to do something. The main big difference is that at 12 I wasn't reading books and like googling animals. I was literally just swimming, skateboarding, and going out with friends. I wasn't like academically intelligent.
At 12 I was researching animals. I was in school. I was very, very into drawing, which is less so now, but mainly because I just have other interests. I've always loved music, but I didn't learn how to play or write up until I was like 15, 16, which is another big difference between us.
Yeah.
But
I can't play any instrument. I tried in high school. I couldn't do it. We did the flute. I did the trombone. I tried saxophone. I tried piano. I tried guitar. Could not do it. I can't sit through learning chords and like learning how to read music. I just can't do it.
I play guitar, I write songs, I play ukulele, and I taught myself piano. Like not Mozart, nothing near Mozart, but I know some basic piano. Like I know enough to write songs and figure out what sounds good with it.
Yeah. He also writes poetry, and so
I've written poetry since I was like, I think 5 or 6. So by the time I could formulate rhymes, I was writing.
Yeah, so as you can tell, he's the more academically intelligent and the more artsy kid. He used to draw, I play music, you know, whereas I'm the more sporty type of person. I've never been able to like understand music or read it. I was never really interested in drawing. I like making art. I'm good at it when I have the attention span for it, but I could never sit down. That's where our ADHD differs too, is like things that he's interested in, I'm completely not interested in. Another really big difference between us is I get annoyed like this.
That's probably the biggest difference, obviously, besides the fact that we look nothing alike besides the face.
Yeah, that's true. I am the taller twin, as you'll probably see in some of the pictures. I'm 5'2", almost 5'3".
Attributed to swimming, my guess
Attributed,
is.
probably, yes. Whereas he's like 5 feet tall.
Yeah, apparently I jump cute.
Oh yeah, he jumps cute. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a clip of it because I don't think we're gonna go play basketball because I'm awful at it. But one of the main things that differentiates us is that my patience is like this slim. I have no patience for pretty much anything, and I get very irritated very fast. And as a kid, I had a lot of anger issues to the point where I would like break things, you know. Never went to anger management. I just sort of learned to bottle it up and then explode somewhere else. Whereas he's very calm. You don't like nothing.
I'm
really
relatively
affects you.
patient. I'm relatively mellow. Certain things trigger like the hyperactivity. Animals, people that I am friends with that I enjoy spending time with. I guess hiking. I really love hiking. But overall, I'm relatively mellow and painfully self-aware.
Yeah. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you guys have any questions. We've been meaning to make this video, as I said, for the past like decade and a half, so I'm very happy this is finally done. He's delirious right now, but I'm gonna keep this outro as it is.
Right. Of course you are.
Yes.
I'm gonna cry.
Make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Goodbye.